Hey guys, today we're going to be taking a look at the M3D from Full Conceal. I have their Polymer 80 edition one, and I also have their Gen 4 Glock 19 edition, which is the same thing, just in a serialized frame. Now, Full Conceal did send me both of these. They also sent me their collaboration with CAA. This is the Viper. This basically just folds up. I already have a review on this, the first impressions video. There will be a separate review on this coming later. Right now, we are just focusing on the M3D. So first off, there's a ton of controversy about these. A lot of people love to hate them. So basically, we're going to be going over my thoughts on this, on the time that I've had with it, and then we will be going over some of basically the misconceptions that people have with them, and a lot of the comments that I get about this device. So let's start from the top. I think that Full Conceal messed up a little bit when they were marketing this. I think that this is a great concept, and they could have really had a great market for it if they would have marketed it differently. They went straight for marketing for this as a replacement for your EDC, and you never have to carry a holster anymore, and I don't think that's what this is. I don't think this is something that's going to ever replace your everyday carry. I don't have an issue with my everyday carry, so I don't think it's ever going to replace that. Now, what I think this is, and what it should have been marketed as, is a secondary, a backpack gun, a truck gun, or a purse handgun for a female that wants to have a full size, but doesn't want to carry a full size or can't carry a full size on her body, but wants to be able to have something in her purse. I think that's what this should have marketed as, and I think they would have had a really large market for it, and I think some of that would have trickled into the EDC world, and some guys would have picked it up in there as well and ran it. But I think they would have been a lot more successful and a lot less hated if they would have went that route. I really would have liked to see them market it differently, and I would like to see them do it now from now on, kind of go that route and go that way, because I think there's definitely a place for this, because, you know, this is the size of your normal Glock, minus the grip chop, obviously. You know, it definitely has a better footprint. Let me fold that back. You know, it doesn't stick out on the bottom. It fits in places better because it's a square instead of, you know, an odd shape. So I could throw this into a pocket of a backpack very easily. I can put it in my center console very easily. So I think that's where this should have fit in, and I think it would have had a very much different outcome if they would have went that route. Now let's go over some misconceptions on this gun. So a lot of people just jumped on the bandwagon on social media because somebody said it was trash, so they all just started saying that. Now I don't like to do that because I want to get something in my hands, I want to test it, and formulate my own opinion before I let you guys know that I recommend it or it's the big NO. So I've had this for over 4 months, so I can now say that I've been able to do that, so I can give you guys some kind of ideas of what I thought about it. So the first misconception that I hear a lot is, why would I want to have something that I pull out of my pocket and draw when somebody's drawing on me, and instead of my EDC that I can draw sub-second? First off, you need to understand situational awareness and use your brain a little bit, because there's no way that you're ever going to draw on somebody that already has a draw on you, because you're not going to win and you're going to make that situation worse, and you're probably not going to live through that situation. So for those people, it's just silly. It's not an actual argument, because it's not something you're going to do with your EDC anyway, and if you do, then you probably shouldn't be carrying a gun, because you're never going to win a fight if you're drawing on somebody already drawing on you. But that is something I hear a ton. This is something that you have to know the situation that you're getting into, and you have to realize its limitations. The limitation when carrying this is you're not going to have a sub-second draw. You need to understand that when carrying it. Now, I carry my AR pistol, which I'm going to call a rifle here just so we don't have confusion when I'm going from rifle to pistol. I carry an AR pistol with me, and I need to know the limitations of that rifle, because I'm not going to draw that on somebody in any position. That is a higher capacity weapon that I can use my handgun, and if the situation arises, I can go get that if need be. This also has limitations like that. If there's a situation where somebody is focused on somebody else, or shooting breaks out somewhere, I can pull this out, and now I have 21 rounds to my expose. I'm not using the right word, but my brain's completely having a brain fart. Now I have 21 rounds in a full-sized handgun. So that is something you need to realize when carrying this, is you need to understand its limitations. So that is a silly argument, and that is a really big misconception that I hear all the time. Another misconception that I hear a lot is you cannot carry one in the chamber. You have to unfold it, rack it, and that's really slow. Again, that's really silly, because why wouldn't you carry one in the chamber? Because when you fold this, as you can tell here, the trigger folds into the gun itself. So now you don't have a trigger to pull. So to me, this is more safe than carrying this one in the chamber because the trigger's exposed. This one does not have an exposed trigger. The trigger folds up, it cannot be pulled. I could click on down here all day and tomorrow, nothing's gonna happen. So you can very well carry this one in the chamber. I'm not sure where that got misunderstood, that you can't carry one in the chamber, but the trigger does fold on itself and it is not able to be exposed or pulled. It still has all the safeties that you have in the slide, your firing pin safety, everything like that. You just don't have the trigger safety, but your trigger is folded away. So the third misconception I hear a lot is now that it's cut up, it's gonna break, it's flimsy, it doesn't work right, the grip is not as good. Yes, it's gonna be less durable as your normal frame because it is now cut and it has different holds, but the construction that they use out of is durable. I'm flexing it pretty hard right now, and I'll put it to the mic. There's a little bit of flex to it, but not a ton. There's not as much as I would have thought, honestly. I was a little bit worried about that at first, but it's not. It's not a worry for me that this is gonna break off. Now, if I put it like this and put it on the curb and just stomped it, yeah, it'd probably snap. But I don't ever see in a situation that I'm gonna do that. And with the mag in it, which we'll get the 21 round mag in it, with the mag in it, you now have a lot more durability. It's a lot more solid. You don't even feel any flex at all when connected, and especially with the mag on it. Without connected, there's a little bit of give on it, not a ton, but once that mag is in, which the mag should always be in anyway if you're gonna be concealing it as they intended, you're not gonna be having that flex. There's no creaking to it or anything. It still feels solid. So for the people that think that it's just gonna be undurable and break and snap, I do not think that's the case. I've never had an issue or ever a worry that that would happen. The last misconception that we're going to go over is the trigger. A lot of people say it's got to be a terrible trigger because it folds. It cannot be a good trigger. And that is always coming from people that have never shot it before. The first time I shot this was up in Michigan at a range. It was actually my first time at an indoor range as well. And Full Conceal brought this for me to shoot. And the first thing I said was, wow, that trigger was surprising. I was not expecting that. Now, with that being said, is this a trigger that I would purchase to put in my stock frame to upgrade it? Absolutely not. It's not an upgrade by any means, but it's not as bad as you would think. It's not when you look at it, you're like, wow, that's gotta be terrible, grindy. It's actually a pretty decent trigger. It's got a good crisp shot, and then the reset is nice. Now, it's opinion based as well, because if you don't like flat face triggers, it's really goofy kind of in that sense. But the trigger itself, everybody that I've taken this to shoot, to have fun with and play with, they've always mentioned, wow, the trigger, it surprised me. I was not expecting that. So if you're used to the OEM trigger, you're not gonna have any issues with this because this is just as good. Maybe slightly better, maybe, but the trigger is not nearly as bad as people really think. Speaking of the trigger, a lot of people also are curious about the trigger guard. They worry about this being so wide down here if it gets in your way when holding the gun. But actually, this trigger guard down in this part is higher than the undercut of your stock, which is a Gen 4 trigger guard. So you'll actually be able to get a higher purchase on the handgun and closer up to the trigger, which is always nice. And what a lot of guys will do is cut the undercut this so they can get that higher purchase. So this actually does have an undercut. The only thing that's wider is this here, but if you're holding your gun in a proper position, which is here, not here, you're not gonna have an issue. So that actually doesn't cause an issue. It just brings up your purchase just a little bit higher, which is nice, but I don't have an issue with that. There's no grooves in it like this, so it doesn't cut. It's not uncomfortable against your hand. Not quite as comfortable as your stock is gonna be, but it's not quite as low as people think, because actually the trigger prevents it being any higher in the stock one. This trigger's a lot shorter, so it can go up a lot higher, so they brought that up. So now that we went over some misconceptions, let's go over the pros and cons. So your first pros are gonna be concealability and capacity. So basically exactly what it's designed for. It folds up, so that is a pro, makes it a little bit smaller and concealable, and then capacity, you can carry more rounds because of the ability to have a larger magazine. So those are your largest pros. I think the design team did a really good job with this, not over complicating this. It's very simple, it does what it's supposed to, and it does it really well. So I think they did a good job with that. They upgraded the trigger, which I'm glad to see that they did that, so I'm happy with the trigger. Now let's go for your cons. The biggest con that I see is gonna be your price. You're looking at $1,000 for this. So when a lot of people see that, $1,000 for a Glock, kind of hits you hard. So it just really depends how bad you want a folding Glock. I think they should bring that price down. If you don't want to buy the whole thing, if you have your own slide already, you can buy just the frame for $700, still pretty steep. And then $500, you can send your own gun in, have them do the conversion to it, and then they'll send it back. So to me, the price is really up there. I think if they brought that down, they'd have a lot more of a market. But that to me is going to be a con, but which is usually always, because you guys know price is always a con for me. So now I want to look at, can you put this in the pocket like they say and it be very concealable? So we're going to try that out. I got the baggiest pair of jeans that I have on right now that I own. Quick disclaimer, there's a retention device that these have that just prevents your grip from opening. It keeps that in a secure position. This one doesn't have that because I put it in the Viper, so you can't have it in that. So this one doesn't have it, so when I put it in my pocket, it might open a little bit, just so you guys know. So let's throw it in the pocket here. See, like that, it opens up a little bit. So I would normally have the retention device on it. So there you go, that's in your pocket. The last thing that I think anyone's ever gonna think is you have a handgun in your pocket. So is it concealable and can you do it? Yes. Will I ever be carrying this in my pocket like this? Probably not. It is fairly large, definitely larger than a cell phone. But for having a full-size handgun, a Glock 19 in your pocket, I gotta say that is pretty good. It's just not something that I'm probably ever gonna carry in my pocket. Getting out can sometimes be a little awkward depending on what you hang up on. But what I would say would be the best option for this is either a back pocket. If you have a longer shirt on, you can throw it around like that. It's a little easier to get out. Or a side cargo pocket on cargo pants. That's gonna be your best route there. So would I recommend this? If you are looking for a handgun for a vehicle, a backpack, or for a female that has a purse that wants to carry a full size but doesn't have the ability to carry this on her body, then yes, I definitely would recommend this. I think this is a great option, and it should definitely put on your list as something that you should look into. If you're looking for a primary or an everyday carry, then no, I do not think this is a good option. I think there are better options out there. I think this is a little awkward to get out of your pocket. I don't like the it gets hung up for me, so there's too many variables with it in the pocket carry like that. I'm not really a fan of pocket carry in general, so I don't think this is a great primary option. But if you are willing to spend the money and have that kind of budget and are looking for strictly a handgun as a secondary, then I think this is definitely a good option. So if this is something you guys are interested in, make sure to check out Full Conceal. Like I said, they have these, they have the Polymer 80s, the Gen 4s, the Viper, so they have a lot of options on their websites, and what's cool is they have the ability to go lower in price by sending your own in. So they give you options to try to save you a little bit of money if you want to do it that route, and if you're really dedicated to buying one of these. So it's cool that they give you that option, so check them out. If you guys want to help us out and keep the page going, there's a link down in the description that goes straight to my website. From there, you can go from other websites like Aero Precision, Palmetto State Armory. Anything you buy using my link helps us out a ton. It shows that we're generating flow to other people, and it gives us a small kickback just to pay for ammo and camera supplies and everything else that we pay for on the range trying to get these reviews done for you guys. So we appreciate it if you do. If not, not a big deal. We just appreciate you guys following, sharing, subscribing, checking us on Instagram, and all of our social media pages. Thank you guys so much.